Any prognosis or anything further on Jair?
Yeah, no new updates.
What do you think Jalen can give you guys?
Well, nothing's official yet, but just, I go back a long time with Jalen, and I've always had a lot of respect for him, just not only as a football player, but as a man. He was one of my favorites when I was at Notre Dame, but I just think a veteran guy that's played at a really high level and, just can bring kind of a mentality and leadership to our defense. And certainly he's going to be behind quite a bit. I mean, being the fact that we're headed into week 5 and it's a totally different system. So there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be put in, and not only from him, but from our coaching staff to get him up to speed. But, we'll let him kind of come in here and compete to play.
For those of us that don't know him, what made him one of your favorites at Notre Dame?
Just he's got a very, I would say, he's got a great presence, number one, but just he's got an infectious personality. He's a guy that everybody on the team really gravitated to, and was a great leader, not only by example, but vocal as well. And then, he was a pretty damn good player too. So just he was a complete package.
Is he even in the building yet now, or is he?
I'll be honest with you, I have not had an update yet. I believe he's in Green Bay, but as far as where he's at right now, I have not seen him.
Did you see much of him, over the last year or so, as far as the playing?
We played him back in 19, but I haven't spent a ton of time watching the last year or so.
Johnson.
Yeah, he suffered a pretty significant knee injury and just a freak thing in practice, and it's, my heart goes out to him because I think he was really doing a great job. He was battling, he was giving us snaps on defense, playing on special teams. He came to work every day with a great attitude, a great mentality. He was a great teammate in that locker room. So you always feel for guys when they have to go through and they suffer a significant injury. And, I just hope that he has a speedy recovery and is able to pick up where he left off.
You mentioned with Jalen or anyone coming in week 5, learning a new defense. How long does that take? If it's a good veteran like that that's played a lot of ball, to come in and kind of have some type of sturdy feet under him?
Yeah, certainly he's got a great football foundation. He was always really smart, even going back to our days at ND. But, I think every situation's a little bit different, just how much you really put on their plate. But I do think that's a pretty significant position. I mean, you're the quarterback of the defense out there and telling everybody the call and how to get lined up. Now, we don't necessarily have to do that with him in regards to Dre's been handling the calls, and we think that will continue that way. But just there's a lot of nuances, just rule differences, how you play certain concepts, and but I think he'll be a pretty quick study.
Any chance we do see him Sunday, or is that not even realistic?
Yeah, I would say that's highly unlikely.
Matt, did you go to Brian and say, I really like when you saw that he was being cut, or with personnel on this at the time, as soon as he got cut, Jalen?
Yeah, no, that was something that our personnel department handled, and Goody came to us, and so we took a peek at the film, and but we're excited to get another good player in the building.
Is Ladarius Hamlin, is he the next guy up at outside linebacker then?
Yeah, he's the only active guy that we have left. So
I guess Tipa, I suppose.
Absolutely. Tipa is always a consideration, but I'm just saying that we have on the active roster as we speak. So he's the next man up.
Matt, I know the expectations were pretty high for Chase coming into the league. I'm just curious what you thought of what he's done the first few weeks for the Bengals and why he's been able to have the impact he's had with that offense.
Well, he's a freak of nature. I think his rapport with the quarterback's pretty significant. It goes back to his days at LSU, and they've done a really nice job of just connecting on some deep balls down the field. I think he's got a couple touchdowns that happen right before the half and 2-minute drives and on go balls. And what's he averaging, like 17.5 yards a catch? So I just think he's just, he's a freak show just in terms of physically how he's built and his ability to run. But I think they've done a nice job with him, just getting him up to speed, because I do think that position in particular can be challenging for young players to come in and have an immediate impact. Now it seems to happen a little bit more frequently. I think you saw it last year with Jefferson in Minnesota. So it's not necessarily a surprise to me because he is such a dominating force. But we're going to have our work cut out for us, especially being down Jair, in terms of trying to contain him. And it's not only him. They got Boyd. Higgins looks like he'll be coming back. And the tight ends, I think, are good weapons as well. So there's multiple people that we have to make sure that we take care of.
Coach, you talked about being down Jair. So what have you guys been talking to your secondary in order to neutralize those weapons? And then especially with how Eric Stokes has just been playing the past couple of games.
You guys always fish for that game plan. I can't give it to you. I'm sorry. But no, it's just, you got to keep everything in front of you. And, when you do challenge and you're in those man-to-man situations, you got to be great with your technique. Anytime you're going against a great player, it always starts with your fundamentals and your technique and making sure you're doing all the little things the right way in order to have a chance.
I just comment on scramble as these couple of weeks back, you just mentioned we're down to our last guy outside. The secondary's juggling around. How taxing has this been to just keep everybody on point with the plan you got to put together?
Yeah, it's always a challenge, but each week's always a challenge, and I can promise you nobody feels sorry for us. It has to be that next man up mentality, and that's what our staff is working hard on, and I know our guys are working hard on, and hopefully we can keep this thing going.
Matt, Aaron talked yesterday a little bit about how the early kickoff games on Sunday can have kind of a different energy from the late afternoon or the prime time. Is that something you guys you need to be cognizant of? Any message to the team as you guys make this transition now to like the noon kickoffs?
Yeah, I said they got to wake up with their piss hot. So you just got to be ready to go, and that's reality. That is the way it is. Now, the good thing is most of our practices are roughly around that time. So it's not like they haven't gone out and played football at that time before, but certainly that is a challenge in terms of just getting your mind right the moment you wake up that, hey, we're going to be kicking off here in a few hours.
How does one get his hot?
It's just a mentality. It's a mentality. It should naturally be hot, right?
I don't know about that. Body temperature. I hope so.
You've got some familiarity with their corners. Obviously, Wayne's a lot and Awuji a couple games there. Mm-hmm. Does that help you at all, or is it just because it's a different scheme that makes no difference whatsoever?
Yeah, I think to some degree, but it is a different scheme, and I think those guys are playing really well. I think the whole defense, they can lull you to sleep a little bit. There's not, I would say, in terms of like the big flashy names, but these guys collectively play really hard. They're really well coached. They got a great scheme. I think this is a really good defense, one of the better defenses that we'll play this season. So, they've added a lot of great pieces. We went against Hendrickson last year, and him and Hubbard off the edges. And I think I talked about this yesterday. Just the front four is really good. They're doing a really good job at hitting home, putting pressure on the quarterback, which naturally helps any secondary kind of be able to sit on different routes and play aggressive. So I think they do a great job with their disguises. Those safeties are very, very smart. They're all kind of everybody's on the same page. So they give you different looks, and then they change it on the snap of the ball, and you got to be on. Everybody on offense has to be glued in together and on the same page and trust their rules, trust their training.
Referencing, I don't know how many times you've played in your career coaching at Cincinnati, but is this year different? The atmosphere you're going to be preparing for? We saw it on Thursday night against the Jaguars. That place was absolutely rocking.
Yeah, I would envision that it is going to be rocking there. That's a pretty passionate fan base. And then they've got a lot of reasons to cheer. I mean, that's a 3-1 football team right now. So they're one of the best teams in the league right now, and we're going to have our work cut out for us.
Hey, Matt, did you find a weakness in your field goal block team? And I'm sorry, your field goal team. And was it, if you did, is it more personnel scheme where you find something there that was common?
Yeah, there's a few things that we had to get corrected that we're working on right now, and hopefully we'll do a much better job of that, this weekend.
On your coverage teams, and now that you're a quarter into the season, are there a couple of guys that you and Mo feel good about that are down the field and hanging on their lanes?
Yeah, and it depends on what phase you're talking about, whether it's punt or kickoff. But yeah, absolutely. I think number one, just we've gotten pretty good gunner play on punt. I think last game Malik showed up quite a bit, getting down there, and hopefully we don't have to use those guys very often. And then it also certainly helps with Bojo being able to kick the ball like he has, getting great hang time on the ball and kicking it a long way. So that definitely helps your ability to get down there and cover. You always got to be careful that you don't want to outkick your coverage, but I think our gunners have done a nice job between Malik, Ike, EQ, just getting down there and being a presence for the punt returner. But as far as the kickoffs are concerned, I would say that it's been a little inconsistent. We've given up some big returns, and that's one area that we definitely have to lock into, and we need everybody doing their responsibility. So one guy gets out of his lane and somebody doesn't play off of them, then you get gashed, and that's what's happened a couple times. So certainly we've been working hard on correcting that.
Do you imagine Jalen playing special teams, or do you envision that when he gets here?
I haven't put a whole lot of thought into that part of it. I shouldn't say I haven't put a whole lot of thought, but I don't envision that.
All right, let's go to Zoom. Sarah, go ahead.
Yep, just to Aaron Eagler.
Coach, I know Amari hasn't had a ton of opportunities in the passing game, but is he earning a little bit more playing time due to his work in the run game? He had a number of really nice blocks on Sunday.
That's very astute of you, Aaron. Yeah, no, he did a nice job. He did a really good job on the fly. We ran an 18 to our right side, and he got out and blocked. I want to say it was either the corner or the safety off the edge. But no, he's done a nice job. He sifted on one, and I also thought I know it got called back, but I thought he did a really nice job on the punt return that got called back for a hold. Just being aggressive with the catch, getting north and south, and that's something that we've been stressing to him. I think you see him out at practice. He's playing faster, so certainly that warrants the I guess he's earning more trust with our staff, with I think everybody else in the huddle, and so hopefully we can continue to develop him, and he keeps taking those necessary steps to get out on the field, because I do think he's a guy that we have pretty high hopes for.
And last one, Steve McGarvey.
Well, just to clarify with Chauncey, is he definitely done for the season with that injury, or is there any possibility he can come back?
Yeah, I'd say it's most likely.